guys, you're most welcome back to the channel with me, Abuajiminta, Mr. Techie Ghana. First of all, we would like to say a big thank you to all of you. We've received massive support this week for our last video. So many subscribers, so many new viewers, so many new watchers, so many comments. We are most appreciative for all your support. We still ask for more. Oliver Twist, man. We still ask for more. Keep liking, keep subscribing if you like the content that we are delivering. As you all know, on this channel we talk tech. This week we are going back to the subject of studying in Turkey. We are discussing six key preparatory steps you need to take for your study in Turkey. Stick and stay. Welcome back. So as we said earlier, we are discussing 6 preparatory steps you need to take for your study in Turkey. Since our last video on studying in Turkey, we've had so much interest, and everything shows that the interest for people, especially on the African continent, who want to study in Turkey is growing day by day. And that's quite obvious because the advantages of studying in Turkey abound. If you want more content on why you should study in Turkey, you have to check on this channel. We have an excellent video on 5 reasons why Turkey is an excellent destination for studying abroad, and you will find more. But for now, if you have decided that you're going to study in Turkey, there are some processes that you need to go through. We are going to discuss 6 key ones that will help you know how to prepare for the process. The first one we're going to talk about is to start the process early. Very important. Too many people make decisions about studying abroad late. What you need to understand is that studying abroad is a process. Now, there are certain agencies in that process that are naturally bureaucratic. For instance, universities. Universities are naturally bureaucratic. They have certain timelines within which they work, and you're not going to change those timelines because you are in a hurry. So it is important you start that process early. Another thing you need to understand is embassies. Embassies are naturally bureaucratic agencies. They have certain times within which they operate, and that is how they work. They are not going to change those timelines because you started late, process late, and you are in a hurry. So it is important to start the process early. For instance, if you are preparing for the fall semester or for the summer semester, which starts in September, school actually starts in September. That process, most schools will open admissions, say in April, May. So, if you are interested in studying in Turkey this summer, I suggest you start the process now. It will help you go through the process smoothly. By the time you set your application, you have 2-3 months cushion before school reopens. And so even if there is a delay on the embassy side, that's most likely not to affect you. So it is important to start that process early. Very, very important. Alright, the next important step you need to take is to do your own research. Very, very important. Remember folks, knowledge is power. When it comes to studying abroad, knowledge indeed is power. It is important that you yourself, you are generally aware of the process. You have some key knowledge about the process. It's very, very important. Certain key areas you need to research. First, it is very important in these kind of cases that you work with an agency. You need to do some research on the agency itself that you want to use. Very important. I'll get to details on the agency in a bit. But you need to do some research around that agency you want to use. First point. Secondly, I've talked about Turkey significantly in an earlier video. There are hundreds of universities in different cities in Turkey. You need to do some research about different universities in Turkey. You need to understand, what do the various universities in different cities offer? What advantages and disadvantages of studying in, say, from Ankara to Istanbul? What advantages does Ankara offer over Istanbul? What advantages does Istanbul offer over Izmir or some other places? You will find a lot of this information online from reviews from students and all over the internet. It's important you take time to do your own research. You need to also take time to do research about what the universities themselves offer in terms of programming. You need to take your time to understand what the financing looks like. What are the charges of the schools? What are the school fees rates? You need to understand those things. How much does it cost to live in the various cities? You will find a lot of information on these things online. It is important that you do your own research. It helps you to make an informed judgment about exactly where you want to study and why. So doing your own research, very, very key. The third critical step is choosing an agency you want to work with. choosing the right agency could simply mean success or failure in this particular process. Now, as you probably know already, if you go online, there are hundreds of people and organizations posing to be the best agency for you to study abroad. When we started this study in Turkey project, there were only a few of us. Now, there are a plethora of agencies and individuals online who claim that they can help you. It is important as part of your research that you identify the right agency. Now, how do you do this? There are key things you need to understand. First of all, the right agency or the right person who's going to help you has to be extremely knowledgeable in helping you to get access to a particular country. So in this particular case, if you want to study in Turkey, you need to find somebody who is a master of Turkey. Not only a master of finding you the university itself, but also a master in understanding the immigration processes and rules of the country. Who has the right networks, both in terms of university systems, even the banking systems, and also the immigration system, which is key to this particular process. You need to find somebody who understands the process, who has the relevant networks to help you to achieve success in the process. So don't simply go to any agency that is posting pictures or saying that they can do X or Y and just pay some money to those persons. This is cash you are losing. So take your time, dig deep, do some research on this person or agency that is promising to help you. Do they really understand Turkey? Do they have networks? Do they have a successful clientele? What is their track record? What is their network levels with the embassies or with the immigration processes? These things you need to find out before settling on an agency you want to work with. As far as I'm concerned, in Ghana, if you want to study in Turkey, it has to be Tech Afrique with me, Mr. Turkey Ghana. The fifth crucial step you need to take when you want to study abroad, or in this particular case in Turkey, is to get your documents in order. It's important that you do this well and to do this early. Extremely important. I've highlighted the essence of starting early the process. But your documents, there are different levels of documents. So there are documents you need on your education side. Whether you want to do a first degree or whether you want to do a master's program, you need to get your school documents and put them in order. Very, very, very important. You need to get your originals. It's very, very important. Some of these documents have to actually go to, in Ghana's case, have to go to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Now, most universities in Turkey would want to see that your documents are certified by a higher authority. So in Ghana's case, you have to go to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs who will certify these documents. So there is a process you need to go, and that's why I'm highlighting the fact that you need to do this early. So you need to get your education documents in place. Stuff like passports, birth certificates, all of these things that you need to get them in early. You also need certain things like insurance, travel insurance. You need to start preparing for these things. In my experience, I've seen that a lot of students, by the time they come to me, do not have the slightest clue what insurance is. They've heard about it, they've never taken insurance before. So these little things, you need to start getting ideas about them. You need to start doing some research about them and start preparing yourselves early for the process. Very, very important. There are other documents you also need, financial documents especially. And I'll give some details about the financial documents. So you will need to start preparing all of these things together. In case of financial documents, it may not come directly from you if you are not paying or sponsoring yourself, which means you need to start working early with your sponsor to start putting those documents in place for you. So you need to start doing that early enough. If you have done your right research and you have found the right agency, putting the documents together shouldn't be too hard. Very important. The fifth crucial step you need to take in this process is to find yourself a capable sponsor. Very important. You need to find yourself a capable sponsor. That is arguably the most difficult part of this process. Now, if you have parents who have the wherewithal to support you, then you are blessed. Most parents, may not necessarily be in the position, may not be in the financial position to be a sponsor. In which case, you may have to find an outsider. It may be a distant relative, or maybe a family friend, or even maybe a boss who will want to sponsor you. Whatever be the case, you will need to find a sponsor. You need to do that early. The reason why it takes a little bit of time to do this is that you have to convince the sponsor to give away personal documents, and that's important. The sponsor would have to give us financial statements and even assets that they personally have to back your application. And so this aspect of the process is so important. You need to do it early. You need to make sure that the sponsor, whoever it is, understands exactly what they need to give, so that they are not surprised at the last minute. Because if you don't do that, and in the last minute he's not willing to give his bank statement, or he's not willing to issue those documents to you, you're in trouble. You have to find somebody else. So you need to be clear exactly what you will need from that sponsor. Also, you need to be sure that the sponsor is financially capable of sponsoring you. Now, this is important because some people they may simply keep up appearances. They may look like they have the financial wherewithal, but they may not necessarily have that in terms of the documents they need to produce. So you need to have a clear understanding. You need to have a clear communication with whoever is going to sponsor you, and make sure that the person is willing and able to do that. Very, very important in the process, so that you don't have hiccups at the last phase. Very important. Don't forget that this is about 60% of the decision the embassy would make. If the embassy suspects that you don't have the right sponsor, you're in trouble. You need to work on this process early. The final step in the process, you need to prepare financially for this process. As I have already indicated, this is a process, and the process naturally involves cost. From my experience, if it is not your parents who are directly your sponsors, a lot of the time, the person who will sponsor you, your documents and all that, may not necessarily be the one who finances the process. And so you would have to prepare financially for the process. It's extremely important. A lot of people do not prepare very well, and so they start, and then somewhere along the line they fall off. If you don't want this to happen to you, you need to prepare financially for the process. There are certain things you need to get. I've talked about certain documents that you need to get. You may have to pay some funds to get all of these things together. There are certain services that are government services. For example, I've talked about the fact that you have to go to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to get your documents stamped and all that. All of these things involve certain small costs. So you need to prepare financially. If you're working with an agency, a capable agency, that is also cost. You need to be clear in your mind what the agency is charging and what that cost entails. Very, very, very important. It may also be the case if you're using an external sponsor that he may be willing to pay your fees and etc., but not necessarily finance your ticketing and all that. It's very important. But it's even most important if you are your personal sponsor. It's very important because you are then financing the process, and you also have to be in the financial position to send documents to back your own self that you can pay when you get there. So it's very important you prepare financially. Now, studying abroad, as I have already indicated, can be a little bit costly. If you choose to study in Turkey, then that's beautiful. Your costs is way down, but you still need to prepare financially, because if you get there, there will be costs that you need to incur. Even for soft landing, there may be costs that you need to incur. You may have to get a place that you're going to stay. You may have to, take care of yourself for a few months, even before you get something to do there to earn yourself a living. So it means you have to have a financial cushion for all of these things. So it is very important that way in advance of even the process, you start preparing financially for this particular process. It's very important. I've seen people who travel abroad to go and study. By the time they go there, they're totally broke. They're thinking that as soon as they get there, they'll get a job. It doesn't work like that. It takes a little bit of time. So you have to have some money to cushion you when you get there until such a time that you find something to do that will help start generating income for you. So you need to prepare financially for the process. Very important. Okay guys, thank you very much for staying with us. So we've wrapped up on these things. I hope that these 6 steps that we've discussed will be most helpful to you. There's time. If you are looking to study in the summer season, there's time. I think these 10 steps will put you in good stead to start preparing. So guys, thank you very much. Don't forget that if you like the content, you need to subscribe. And also ask questions. If you have questions, we're happy to reply. Ask questions. Our social media channels are all here. They are all available. You can contact all of us. My phone number is there. You can contact me by phone and we will talk, or WhatsApp, we will talk. And most importantly, subscribe. Crucial. Thank you very much for staying with us. We'll be back again with another video next week. Salute.